sound? Fabulous. Well, welcome. This is This Normal, brought to you by the Center for Positive Sexuality. And my name is Emily Pryor, and my wonderful co-host Simone is not available this evening. She actually has a paying gig, and that's a fabulous, fabulous thing for her, but it means that we don't get her tonight. So, my sweet girl Skye is going to sit in for Simone, and hopefully, we'll still have some silly banter going on and be able to do this. And she actually did some research this afternoon and got some articles, so we can talk about some sex in the news and do some other things. Before we get to that, there are some activities that the center is going to be hosting over the next couple of weeks. Tomorrow evening, through creativesexuality.org at 7 p.m. Pacific time, I'll be teaching female sexuality, the basics. So sign up now. You can register for that now up until about an hour before the class starts. It's $14.95, and pretty much like we've advertised before, this particular class is for anyone with a vulva, who wants to have a vulva, who wants to play with a vulva, and if you don't know what the vulva is, then you should take the class.
It's a great car.
Yes, indeed. Also, our next Is This Normal show is going to be on June 7th, which is a little out of kilter of our somewhat regular calendar, but it's when our guest was available, and we're going to have the guest Karen Tate, and she's going to be talking about the goddess within. So that will be really interesting, and we look forward to that. And then the day after that, on June 8th, also through creativesexuality.org, we're going to be teaching BDSM Fact and Fiction at 7 o'clock Pacific time. So those are things that the center is going to be doing in the next couple of weeks. And when we come back on June 7th, then I'll give you the whole rest of the June calendar, because hopefully we'll be finished by then, and we'll be able to do that, or something. Maybe we'll be there. Also, I forgot to write on here, but the center is now looking for volunteers and interns. So we have a page on the website. If you go to positivesexuality.org and look at the home page, there's a call for volunteers there, and that will take you to a page that lists all of the positions that we're looking for. And one of those, I think I actually get to remove now. We were looking for someone to be a staff writer who could write our newsletters and could write ad copy for the shows and take up some other writing jobs, and it looks like we have somebody. She's actually in the chat room this evening. So hi, Rin, and thank you very much for volunteering to be our staff writer, and so I might be able to take that listing out. So that'd be very cool. But we're still looking for volunteers to do all sorts of things. We need some people who are local to Los Angeles and can come here and do things. We also need people who, doesn't matter where you are, as long as you have an internet connection and can, deal with Pacific time occasionally, so that I'm not always having to talk with you at 3 o'clock in the morning or something. And we'll be able to work out some other positions, so that'll be great. You're very quiet.
Yeah.
Feel free to chime in. Cut me off.
You were introducing everything.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But say hi.
Hi!
So, before we get to our wonderful guests this evening, and we have two lovely ladies here for you to see and talk to and chat with and ask some questions. But before we get to that, we have a couple of sex in the news topics. The one that we're going to start with is actually the one that we both found at the same time. And this was on Yahoo News. I think it posted today, May 24th. It posted today, this afternoon. And it's this article about parents in Toronto who are not disclosing the gender of their child to anyone. And they're allowing their child to just be who they are, and they're not being gender specific about their child. They're not dressing them in any particular way to make it clear about, they're not necessarily in pink or blue. And they've not even told the grandparents what the gender of the child is, and at this point what the sex of the child is, and the gender, we'll see how that develops, because that's more of a psychosocial thing mixed with biology and not just biology sex.
What's also interesting is that they have 2 sons, and both of their sons, they allow them to grow their hair out and wear dresses if they feel like, and one of their sons prefers to wear dresses and gets very mad when people call him a girl. He's very much a boy, but he just likes wearing dresses.
So this is very interesting, and it's an interesting progressive predicament. We'll have to see how this turns out. Now, you found that there was a response to this, and the child's name is Storm. So clearly not a gender-specific name.
Yeah.
Much like Scott. Not necessarily gender-specific.
So yeah, found a response to it, and it's this guy that responded saying that he's not actually saying any of this, but that this child might end up with a gender identity disorder, which can arise as early as 2 years old, because this couple is not giving their child a gender or trying to steer it in a way that gives it a gender or a sex.
Which is interesting because it, at least historically, from what I know at this point, we see more gender identity disorder coming from, not from people who have not been given an array to choose from, but from people who have been forced into a gender that isn't who they are. So we'll have to see what happens here, and how other factors play into this when they start going to school and everything. Because right now the child's only 4 months old.
Huh.
Yeah.
So they're probably not really expressing anything in particular gender-wise at this time.
I hope not.
Probably not at 4 months. They're not even walking yet. What else did you find?
I also found something in elementary schools in Oakland where the teachers are bringing in people from the outside to teach children from kindergarten through 12th grade about gender diversity and gender identity. And they're using ways like clownfish and clams and frogs and the whiptail African lizards that either are genderless or can be either gender at any point in time to teach the children about the gender identity. The Pacific Justice Institute rallied against them, saying that the parents of Oakland didn't want their children doing this or didn't need their children learning about this because it wasn't in their best interests.
Well, this will be interesting too. Oakland is usually pretty progressive. Areas up there, Oakland and San Francisco, tend to be pretty progressive as far as sex education is concerned. So we'll have to see how this plays out. I think it's really interesting that they want to do this gender diversity training. And it's pretty much like a 2-day thing.
Yeah.
This is not like a, we're going to talk about this for 4 weeks. This is like a 2-day training that students are going through at different age levels, different grade levels, and age appropriate. And what were some of the topics?
Some of the activities and reading list include, for grades K through 1, boy, girl, or both, which outfit, which hairdo, and the reading My Princess Boy.
Very nice. Yes.
Rin from the chat room points out that in Jurassic Park, when animals swap gender, people get eaten.
Ah! Well, sure.
So cannibalism will arise?
Yes, maybe there will be a rise in cannibalism as people are able to freely switch gender whenever they like. We'll have to see what happens. Maybe then, the whole end of the world thing will occur, and we can better predict that once people are freely passing from one gender to another and cannibalizing one another. Or something like that could happen. You never know.
Also found from the New York Times, the Coming Out Project, which is a big blog-ish site for LGBTQ teens and youth that are able to go in and post something anonymously or not, giving their coming out story, their fears, and being able to talk with other people that are in their same, pretty much in their same boat.
Mm-hmm.
And it also, the same article talked about the Don't Say Gay bill that,
Right. In Tennessee.
that prohibits educators from discussing homosexuality in kindergarten through junior high.
Yeah. You're not allowed to say the word gay. You can't, educators can't say the word gay, can't discuss anything that has to do with homosexuals in school in Tennessee. And that passed, that bill passed. And for those of you who haven't seen it, go to YouTube and find George Takei's response
The chat room's all over it.
to this. You'll find George Takei's response because he offers a suggestion. He's offering that if you can't say gay, you can say Takei instead. And so he's offering that you can say that's so Takei, or you can have a Takei old time, or talk about the Takei movement. So yeah, he's offering his own name in replacement of the word gay. And he's actually made like buttons and t-shirts and things that have like the little Star Trek emblem in rainbow that says just say Takei. Wonderful, wonderful stuff. So, and all of that money is going to charity organizations. He's not making any money off of that stuff. He's sending it on to, you know, help this stuff from not happening. Now we were talking, you and I were talking the other day when you were telling me about the Don't Say Gay bill that was going through. And we talked about this later afterwards, and I'm thinking, you know, if we're going to go for this sort of a thing and decide, you know, we're just going to banish this word from this setting, and the idea behind this is that if you don't say gay, no one will become gay.
Of course.
So with that logic, if I can use that word to describe what that is, with that logic, I think we should just shoot for higher goals here. We should eliminate like the word rape, or eliminate the word murder, and therefore no rape or murder would happen. Right?
That's right.
I mean, you know, if this logic is going to follow to its clear end here.
Yeah, but then we lose so many news channels.
Well, we'd lose, you know, that wouldn't be such a bad thing necessarily if we lose.
Well,
so many
that's a good point, because therefore those kids would only hear those words in a negative connotation ever.
Right.
Because no teacher could ever say, no, let me give you
What,
something positive
you-
about gay.
Or background,
Or-
or
right.
context.
Can't. So
Can't.
they'd only hear it in a negative light every single time.
Well, no, because the whole rest of the state of Tennessee, I'm sure, is giving a objective perspective.
Sure.
Yeah. It's just not in school.
Because they always have.
It's just not in school that you can discuss it openly. But anywhere else, I'm sure it's
So Takei bashing would be okay.
yeah, I'm guessing.
Well, at least I know that my roommate's okay with it. Which is my roommate.
Sure, sure.
That's one Tennessee person.
It only takes one. Be an iconoclast and you can
There you
change
go.
Tennessee 1% at a time.
Oops.
So this is silliness is what this is. All right. Well, I think. Oh, well, the other thing I wanted to do, because we still have a couple minutes for the intro, right? I received this book, The Sexy Book of Sexy Sex. I received this last month for my birthday from my best friends. And it's hysterical. It's really, really funny. What it lacks in accuracy, it makes up for in humor. So I don't recommend this as a standalone sex education guide, because it's not true. It's not true. It's not
Storks in it?
accurate. Well, it's just really, really funny. It's just really funny. And yeah. See, what it'll do is things like this. So I'm going to read this one excerpt. Do women masturbate? One of the biggest myths about masturbation is that women just aren't that into it. This simply isn't true. Behind every strong masturbator, there's an even stronger masturbator. Women just happen to go about it differently. So, comparing men and women, ideal setting for men is anywhere. Women on silk sheets covered with rose petals, surrounded by scented candles with smooth jazz playing. Duration for men as quickly as possible. For women, 3 minutes to however long it takes to realize you're dying of dehydration. For men, frequency as often as possible. For women, precisely 330.47 hertz, also known as the high setting. Men, orgasm is comparable to a satisfying bowel movement out of your penis.
Okay.
Women, that shiver you feel before you sneeze, only the shiver is pure ecstasy and the sneeze is touching the face of God. And men, yes. Women, just the rose petals. So, you know, not perfectly accurate information.
Hey, I'm sure if every woman had silk sheets.
Right, exactly.
Just for the record, if men had silk sheets, we'd masturbate on them too.
This is true.
We just don't have them.
But it's a lot of humor. It goes through the history of sex, which again, sort of their history is not entirely accurate. But it's very, very funny. It's a really good book. It has some beautiful drawings. Here, I'll show you. Just give me this. Just lost it. This is female anatomy through history.
God. Biblical lower earth and free love.
And now it's just censored. We don't get to see female anatomy any longer.
Hysterical. Right, of course.
So, yes. So it's a funny book. Very, very funny, and great illustrations. And it was a fun gift. I get to add that to my large collection of sex books. And you know, if you're going to have a sex book, you should have the sexy book of sexy sex. So I like this. I like